My name is Laura Mitchell. I'm 34 years old. All my life, I've stood on my own 2 feet. I made my own decisions, faced my own mistakes. But that morning, the email that arrived completely disrupted the rhythm of my life. When I opened my laptop, the subject line stared me in the face. Let's handle this like adults. Short, cold, simple. But beneath it lay the official end of a marriage I had devoted years of my life to. The PDF attachment contained it all. The legal termination of our 12-year marriage. Evan, my ex, had already done everything. Our joint bank account emptied, a new life had begun in our home, and a man named Jeremy had moved in with his belongings. And me. I was back from Kandahar, facing this reality alone. At first, I froze. Time slowed. Shock, emptiness, silence. Then, my usual calmness kicked in. I closed my laptop, took a shower, put on my uniform. I didn't say a word to anyone, friends, coworkers, commanders, not a single person. That night, sitting on my bunk, I answered with one word: understood. No arguments, no begging, no threats, just silence. Derek, my friend across the bunk, looked up at me. I noticed something's off. Everything okay? He asked. I just nodded. Silence had become my strongest weapon at that moment. Because soldiers know, sometimes letting things take their course is survival. But when I got home, I realized everything had changed. There were subtle signs. He no longer asked how my day went. He ignored calls, went to the gym 3 times a week, bought new clothes, made new friends, but nothing, not a single sweat, touched me. On my side, there was no drama, no screams, no tears, just calculated, cold, methodical steps. I secured the important documents, the house deed, bank records, heirlooms, everything in a place where nothing could be lost, nothing could be stolen, nothing could betray me again. Before I left for duty, when Evan hugged me, his eyes were dry. Those eyes, they looked not at a soldier leaving for war, but at a colleague saying goodbye. I should have realized in that moment, but a part of me still hoped I was wrong. That night in my motel room, silence became the first step. There was no anger, no blame, only strategy. I would wait quietly, watch, and let their actions become their own trap. The next day, everything grew more complicated. I noticed our joint account had been emptied, some transfers hidden. But now I knew this was just the beginning. The person across from me hadn't just abandoned me, it had been part of a calculated operation. And I was ready. That's when I realized betrayal isn't just a word, it's the quiet destruction of a life, years, effort, and trust. But remember, I'm Laura Mitchell. Silent, invisible, effective. And from now on, everything that happens will be under my control. Every night, sitting alone in my motel room, watching the city, I planned. This wasn't a fit of rage, it was strategy. Silent revenge, taking its first steps. The night had fully fallen, and I was gazing out the motel window. The streetlights of Spokane flickered, casting shadows that felt like eyes watching me. My heart still beat, but the rhythm was strange, part anger, part calculated calm. I thought of Becky, now my ex, and Jeremy, their plans, the mess they'd made, still vivid in my mind. The divorce email, the emptying of the joint account, Jeremy moving in. But this was just the beginning. Beneath it all, something had cracked. The life I knew was completely changed. At that moment, I understood that revenge wasn't just a target, it was a journey, and I was in the middle of it, protecting my own name as I went. At first, there had been anger, of course, but anger alone wasn't enough. A calm, calculated, intelligent step was required. Becky didn't realize it. She underestimated me. But I moved silently. I watched every step, every habit, every hidden transfer, every smile. I recorded it, and every record gave me strength. The woman I once knew, Becky, with her surface level cheer and charm, could sway anyone. But she had hidden darkness. She had betrayed me, torn apart our home, stolen our money. But she didn't realize I was already prepared. Ready? Because inside me, a silent strategy was growing. This strategy would not only reclaim what was mine, it would dismantle her and Jeremy's plans with precision. That night in the motel room, I mapped it all out. My phone in hand, every communication, every message, every email was potential evidence. Becky's actions were systematic, and understanding her system was the first step to defeating her. I told myself quietly but firmly, everything is being observed, every step recorded. The surprise is for me to deliver. I began unraveling Jeremy's schemes. He and Becky were driven by greed and control. Their ambition had blinded them. Both were oblivious to my intellect, my strategic mind. That was my advantage. Each night I monitored cameras, analyzed transfers, noted every gap, every mistake. I was no longer just waiting. I was preparing for the future. Old memories of Becky came to me, our first days together, her laughter, our small secrets. But these memories were no longer sadness. They were fuel. I remembered that I had always been ready, always protective, always vigilant. She had destroyed everything for her own gain. Now it was time to show the cost of that destruction. My plan was clear, calm, precise, and decisive. First, I would stop the financial manipulations. I already had control over the joint accounts, but I began collecting evidence of Jeremy and Becky's other financial games. Every bank transfer, credit application, forged signature, each a clue, a guide, and I was piecing together their intricate scheme. I spent hours that night writing notes, drawing maps, calculating potential scenarios. Every move helped me predict their next step. I was silent, cold, controlled. Logic and strategy, not anger, now led me. I would create chaos in their world, but never hastily. Everything had to happen at the right time, precisely. And yet my emotions conflicted. At times, remnants of old love brought tears. But I remembered, love was superficial. Betrayal and greed ruled the reality. From now on, I would follow only the facts, the calculated strategy. I was alone, but solitude made me stronger. No one else needed to be involved. This was my revenge, my plan. By morning, the sun was up, yet I was still in the motel, reviewing every detail. I planned Jeremy and Becky's movements, watching, recording, anticipating. I was one step ahead, and that step could change everything. As I walked Spokane's streets that day, I continued my observations. Jeremy's truck, Becky's new workplace, their friends, all documented. Every detail hinted at the next move. It was time not just to wait, but to act, but at the perfect moment. One wrong move could ruin the plan. I did not rush. I wanted to see their trap unfold with their own hands. Revenge was not merely a goal, it was a process, and I was aware of every second. Becky's smiles, Jeremy's arrogance, all traps, and I, silently growing within this trap, was ready. My plan, document every misstep, bring evidence to light, and pursue justice and what was rightfully mine. I was no longer passive. I was ready to act. That night, alone in the motel room, I took a deep breath. This was just the beginning. I would create chaos in Becky and Jeremy's world, uncover all their plans, and most importantly, protect my own name. This was the story of a silent, deep revenge, and I was at the center of it. Walking Spokane's streets, the cool air brushed my skin, but a fire still burned inside me, silent, cold, effective. I was no longer a victim. Every thought, every move, every step was calculated and deliberate. I remembered the shock of that divorce email, the emptiness I felt after Kandahar. the controlled anger and strategic calm I felt while planning in the motel room, all of it had merged into one, an edge between logic and emotion, nights spent walking Spokane's parks, observing shadows. I wasn't just tracking Becky and Jeremy anymore, I was understanding them, unraveling the motivations behind their schemes. Jeremy's greed, Spencer's opportunism, Becky's unwitting entanglement, each frame in my mind like a scene from a film. But I knew true revenge was not just revealing mistakes, it was forcing them to face them. Without James's help, I might not have dug this deep. Working with the FBI, Agent Patel, and Donovan, we meticulously reviewed each document, transfer, forged signature. I saw how Jeremy manipulated Becky, how Spencer orchestrated plans, and I noticed Becky wrestling with guilt and remorse, unknowingly trapped. Watching her was a mix of anger, sorrow, and even pity, all at once. Days passed, and Jeremy and Spencer's errors became apparent. Stolen funds returned, forged documents canceled, control of the house fully mine. But this victory left an indescribable emptiness. Every gain happened under the shadow of past betrayal. I now acted not on emotion, but on cold, calculated strategy. One morning in a Spokane park, I saw Becky. Her hands covered her face, tears streaming. I realized true revenge wasn't physical retaliation, it was psychological and emotional dominance. Her helplessness, the price of her choices, combined with my silent observation, was proof of my victory. I didn't approach. Natural consequences would unfold. Her pain was the silent evidence of my triumph. Night after night, I reviewed security footage, Jeremy and Spencer's hideouts, vehicles, secret meetings, all recorded. Each detail helped me predict the next move. Sometimes justice works only with timing and strategy. I had said it all: silence, patience, observation, my weapons. One evening in my motel, I watched Spokane's lights. My phone rang. It was James. An update, he said. Jeremy and Spencer had exposed part of their plan, but some secrets remained. Becky was still in the game, unknowingly. I didn't want to interfere. The natural course would reveal itself. And I thought, the greatest victory is letting the other side falter by their own mistakes. Weeks of observation and strategy. Some transfers stopped. Stolen funds partially recovered. Forged documents canceled. I learned victory isn't measured by material gain. It's using your intellect and patience to achieve justice. And I had done it. Now some doors had closed, some secrets revealed, but the story wasn't fully over. Jeremy and Spencer, trapped in their chaos, hadn't yet realized their errors. Becky had to confront her conscience. My role was complete, yet the suspense remained. Alone in my motel, I thought, this story wouldn't just end for me, it was a lesson for other victims. People like Jeremy and Spencer couldn't withstand patience and strategy. Becky would pay the price of her choices. And amidst all this, I had won a quiet victory. Would pay the price of her choices. And amidst all this, I had won a quiet victory. Before the sun rose, I sat on the porch of my Montana cabin, Scout by my side, the wind rustling the trees. Silence. For the first time in years, real silence. A deep breath. But this silence wasn't peace. It was the wait after a mission accomplished. After learning of Becky, Jeremy, and Spencer's plans, I had reached the end of the surveillance and strategy process. Everything had started with that divorce email from Kandahar. That day, I realized the fragility beneath it all. 13 years of marriage, a structure called trust, was in ruins. But I moved quietly, carefully, calculating each step. First, I observed their moves. Jeremy was skilled at manipulating Becky, but he overlooked something: my strategic patience. Spencer organized operations, targeting other military families. Whether Becky was complicit or a victim remained uncertain, but it no longer mattered. What mattered was uncovering the truth and reclaiming what was mine. Every night in the motel, maps, security recordings, financial documents, emails, all laid out before me. Working with James and FBI agents Patel and Donovan gave me new strength. Every document, every suspicious move, every past action, all clues. The small house in Spokane, silent inside, was a stark contrast to the chaos outside. For Becky and Jeremy, it was just a stage. For me, it was a strategic command center. Security systems let me watch every move. I reviewed footage repeatedly, determining intent and spotting traps. Days turned to weeks. In Montana, I confronted my past. 20 years in the military, lessons learned, discipline, and patience all served me now. Walking with Scout, I planned, calculated every possibility. I imagined Becky's face. I didn't speak, didn't text her. Strategy is most effective in silence. Silence, my strongest weapon. Finally, the day came. FBI vehicles awaited at the Spokane field office. Spencer and Jeremy's plan unraveled by their own traps. Every transfer, forged document, signature, recorded. Becky, observed long enough, revealed her complicity, or lack thereof. But it no longer mattered. The plan was complete. I had uncovered the truth and reclaimed what was mine. Step 1. Secure financial safety. Joint accounts, forged documents, refinancing, and the house deed secured. Jeremy and Spencer went to jail. The interstate legal process was complex, but with the FBI and my lawyer, everything was under control. Becky's role investigated. She acted out of self-interest and manipulation. I didn't seek punishment. I only wanted what was mine. I left Spokane's streets behind. Returning to Montana wasn't just physical, it was mental liberation. In the cabin with Scout, I laid the past to rest. Belongings, documents, memories, stored, safe. No betrayal or deceit could touch me. Yet, within that silence, something new arose. Revenge isn't just anger, it's the lesson learned through strategy and patience. Becky, Jeremy, Spencer, each faced consequences. My name, my effort, my rights, protected. And most importantly, I was free. Montana's silence, the solitude, the peace, the greatest gift after the chaos. At sunset, porch bound with Scout, I reflected. The past was a lesson, a reminder. The future, fully mine. Becky's life, shaped by her choices. Mine, shaped by mine. The mission complete, justice done. Silent victory, unseen by others, known only to me. And I realized revenge isn't merely an act, it's strategy, discipline, and patience combined. Everyone chooses their own path, but some paths, when planned in silence and executed at the right moment, yield the most satisfying results. In Montana's wind, with Scout's quiet beside me, I felt free, no longer haunted by shadows, drawing strength from my own light. So it is. Behind every betrayal, every lie, every loss, there's an opportunity, and I didn't miss it. I won a quiet victory above all, staying true to myself. Becky and Jeremy faced justice. Spencer's schemes collapsed. But the greatest reward, my freedom, my peace, Montana's silence now resonated with my triumph. Alone in that silence, with Scout and my thoughts, I began a new life. No longer in the shadow of the past, walking in my own light. Every strategy, every plan, every ounce of patience, all reclaimed what was mine. Silent, profound, enduring victory. Life reborn.